we'll just kick off and we'll share the video on the group for people to join and watch through. But like I said, we'll just start talking. We'll start from where we stopped last week and give a few definitions, explain the things we talked about last week again, so that those who were not in class last week can benefit from this video mostly now. My apologies, guys. I'm sorry I had to take a little time. Like I said, a client just called before we started this meeting and I had to be done with him first. I'm so sorry about that, guys. But let's jump right into it today. Please, someone again. We will have like we had last week. It is going to be interactive. So when I ask questions, y'all can see my screen, but I can't see the chat, the video, who's online, who's not online. So I'd require guys to unmute your mic and then maybe speak or something. So by that way, I'll know you're communicating if I ask a question. Does that work with you, please? All right. So and if you can't see my, please say that again. I didn't get that clearly. Who's speaking? Please say that again. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. And can you see my screen as well?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you very much. So if you can't see my screen at any point or you can't hear me at any point, just let me know, please. So I'm just gonna start from where we stopped. Like I said, we had talked about emphasis last week. We had talked about contrast. I'm just gonna list those principles out again. We talked about alignment. We had talked about balance, and we had talked about hierarchy. Please, anybody, if you remember something we talked about that is not here, please let me know. We talked about white space, I guess. Um, what else? That's all. What else, please? I don't want to believe that all. Um, so but you guys did watch the video where we explained the principles of designs. Please, what else? What other principle that did we come across that's not here on this list here, please? Anybody, just pop up your mic and speak now.
Movement.
We
Say that again. I didn't get that clearly.
Movement.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I hear that movement. Yeah, yeah. I think I remember repetition. Yeah. Who's that? Is that Sally? Is that Salome?
Yes.
All right, repeat. Sally. I spelled it the wrong way. Thank you. All right, so we're just gonna look at this again, and remember we're not gonna give definitions to these terms because the aim is not for you to understand the definition of these principles. The aim is for you to understand how it is used in a design, so that as a creator, whilst you're looking at designs, think of it like I want you to think of designs in principles. So when you see a flyer on your social media platform or your Instagram or your X, whatever, and you just be like, this design did not obey this particular principle. And I'll just give a rundown of what we talked about on these principles again, so that we can have a better understanding when we dive into the things you have for today. All right. Let me just pull a couple flyers that we used last week whilst we talk about this. So we talked about emphasis. I'm just gonna be really fast, but I hope to make it clear. Whilst we teach, if you don't have understanding or something, please, this is gonna be very interactive class. Just unmute your mic. I'm not there to watch, so probably I won't see if you raise your hand or something. Just unmute your mic and then speak. I'll just pause. And if you have a question, just ask your question at any time. All right, so let's start with emphasis. I mean, just as the list is here. We talked about emphasis as creating focus on a particular thing, just like the word emphasis is. When you're trying to make something loud, you're trying to show that, oh, this is what we're talking about. You're creating emphasis on something. So how do you apply emphasis on a design? So let's say how does emphasis apply on this particular flyer here? We'll start by saying, now we've seen, and I need someone to answer this now. What is the biggest thing you are seeing on this design? On this design you're seeing here? What's the most attractive thing? What's the first thing you're seeing on this design, please? Please,
To
I'd
move
like you all
golden
to just
strand.
okay, okay, thank you very much. So I want to say, please, you speak again. When I ask questions like that, please just reply fast so we can get moving with other thoughts here. So you said golden strands, yeah, that's the biggest thing. So you can see they have created emphasis on this by making it bigger than this other text here, bigger than this other text here. So emphasis in that case means creating making something a center of focus, like bringing your attraction into a particular element in design. Remember, we talked about elements of design in the last class, and just to digress to put that out, we talked about elements of design as being text. We talked about elements of design as being colors, as being shapes, as being textures. All right, we're going to look at all of that in this class again. But then back to what we were saying, in understanding emphasis, we saw that emphasis literally means putting attention on a particular element of design in a design. So just like this design we have here, the attention is placed on golden strands. And let's just think like a designer for a second. Golden strands, they are trying to show you golden strands even in this hair here. So you can see that now. I mean, you could see the glowing effect here. You can see the glowing effect here. They're just trying to show you what golden strands means in the design. This is how this designer is thinking. He has created emphasis on this, and he's bringing more emphasis to it by bringing descriptions like this, even in images. All right. So now we've understood what emphasis is. We've understood what emphasis is and how it is used in a design. Let me pull another design out. Let's see what emphasis looks like in another design. I'm just gonna put this. Um, yeah, this is quite tricky. Anybody, just unmute your mic and let's see what's the biggest thing, what's the thing that calls your attention into this now? A simple flyer for Budweiser brand. Anybody, guys, please.
The hand holding the drink.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you very much. Definitely.
I think
So
okay.
no, you're speaking. Go ahead, please.
I think it's the hand holding the drink as well. I think that's the first thing that catches my attention.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you can see the designer making this whole design now is thinking this information is important, but that's not the emphasis. This is not the emphasis, but it's also important, one new board in a forehand, right? Now we're going to go into all of that in this. We're also still looking at these principles here, but then the designer wants you to see this first. This is more like a product design. So I know most of y'all drink alcohol. I don't, but then um this is I just tripped. I don't know if you guys caught that, but then this is the product. They want you to see this first. They want you to see this product. I mean, even if you're scrolling through your Instagram, in a second you can understand that this is Budweiser. So they are making emphasis on this. I mean, this is a very creative design. And again, a hand, a new board in a handful, trying to create concept with the hand and the text here. We're going to look at that later. But then you're seeing how emphasis plays a major role on this design here. That this is the only thing you'll see if you're just scrolling through this in a very fast way. But then when you look more on it, you can now see the text you have here. Very simple design, but it passes the information clearly. So you see how on this design, this is the only elements we have. 1, 2, 3, and then a few textures around. But it still passes the information as it should. All right. It still passes the information as it should. Why? Because the person applied the principles of designs, which is emphasis on this. Emphasis on this. Please, if you understand what I just said, let me know. If you have a question on emphasis, because we're going to move into the next one now. If you understand what I mean by emphasis or you have a question on that, let me know. Let me just see if I can pull out something else. Any question on this, please? Any question on that, please? Let's see. Let's look at this. Anybody again? What do you see this? What's your what's calling you to this design? What's the first thing you're seeing? What's the emphasis on this design? Anybody?
The expert class. Expert class.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you very much. All right. So I think in our last class we saw something like this when we were looking at hierarchy, but then as it relates to emphasis, the bold word they want you to see is expert class. So this is gonna be like a forex trading class. Yeah, you see more information is given here, certification, mentorship, but then they want you to see that this is an expert class. So as a designer, when you think of it, we had this illustration in our last class where I was speaking about your church asking you to design a church flyer for them and how you cannot make, in as much as the date of the event is very important, you can't make that the bold word. So you create emphasis on the theme of the church event. Let me put, I think we had a design like that. I think I brought it in here. All right, so this is it here. Just give me a second. This design here is for a church event, and then we can see how this is the theme of the Sunday service. Here we can see a special empowerment service here, but then this is what they want you to focus on. This is the emphasis. The emphasis is enlargement. The date of the event, the venue, which is about also the important things, there's no emphasis placed on this. So as a designer, you're thinking, what is the most important thing we want to communicate through this design? Remember, I said this. As a designer, you have that unique ability to convert a person's idea. When a client gets to talk to you, they don't talk to you in pictures. You are the only one that thinks in pictures. You're the only one that thinks in principles. The designer, the client will just be like, oh, I have an event coming up. I need you to do this for me. And that's all. You now thinking about it, you'll be like, oh, what's the theme of the event? What's the title of the event? Something like that. If you have a live session coming up, I made an instance like that when we're preparing for this class. The creator's pathway, I'm going to put that design in shortly. The creator's pathway, you see, there's emphasis on the creator's pathway. All right, so that's what I want you to see first. So as a designer, we are think of it in that way, right? You are creating emphasis on the most important thing. All right, so let me just pull this out again. So that's emphasis. All right, I'm just going to move into the next one. The next one we have here is contrast. Very beautiful principle. Well, I want to dwell on contrast for a long time. So let's move on to the next thing first. I'm going to come back to contrast. I'm going to come back to contrast. We talked about alignment in our last class. What we are doing here, I'm just brushing through the principles of design that you have probably seen already on the YouTube videos we watched. I think someone just go back to that. The principles of designs that you have already seen on the YouTube videos you watched. Please let me know if you guys can hear me. I think someone made a complaint on that. Anybody just unmute and just let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. So even if it's just one question, we'll keep going because I have this recorded already now. So we were talking about alignment, and from our last class, we understood that we have 3 alignments. We have left aligned, we have center aligned, and we have right aligned. So we're going to see this more how it's applied in designs. And then I talked about it that left alignment is when you have your stuffs starting from the left. Now, so just like this whole stuff we have here, this is left aligned. Let me show you how alignment works on text, just quickly. And if you've used Microsoft Word for a while, you probably should see this. So you have the left alignment, you can have center alignment here. Everything is aligned to the center on this text here. And then if you do right alignment, can you guys see the difference there? So left alignment, center alignment, right alignment. It doesn't matter wherever it is on on the on the Canva, on the design, whether you place it here or you place it here. If it is like this, let me show you guys. If it's like this, then it is right aligned. Let me show that again. So it doesn't matter where this is. If it is like this, it is left aligned, whether you place it on this right part of the design. So this is left alignment, no matter where it is placed on the design. I remember Mr. Ekwe was asking a question like this in the last class. So I want you to understand that. I'm just showing you how alignment works, and this is center alignment. No matter where you place it again, everything is aligned. All the text here are aligned to the center. All right. So I think that is clear. Let me just take that back. And I was making that instance here. So um anything that starts from the left is left alignment. Anything that starts like that is aligned to the center is center alignment. And anything that is aligned to the right hand side of, everything that aligned to the right is right alignment. So take note of that. We are going to see this applied in real time. Let me bring a couple designs here. All right, this works. Let's start with this for a second. So now you can use multiple alignments in your design. Because before we look at this now, that's what I want us to see when we're looking at this. You can use multiple alignments in your design. So I want someone to just pop up, unmute yourself and talk to me about the alignment you're seeing here. Let's talk about alignment here. Anybody?
The wider and stronger hair is center alignment, and then
All right. So
the part yes the part that is the time and the date is left alignment. Yes, all of them they are left alignment. Then the one on the top left corner is also left alignment.
okay.
The top
All
left
right. All
corner,
right. So all right, top left.
top
Sorry
left,
about that.
top
Top left. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
left
Yeah.
alignment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I believe with that you guys have understood what alignment is. Alignment is how you align your elements of design in the design. So whether it is text, we just saw how that could be done with text. Whether it is a text, whether it is a shape, whatever it is, how you align it in the design is what alignment is. And remember, I said this. Now, when you are dealing with alignment as a designer, this is how I want you to think. When you have, let me just put it in for a second. We're going to come back to this, so that's why I'm not taking it out. Let me put it out. So when you're talking about alignment, always align your things to a straight line. Always, like whenever you are designing. In fact, this is the difference between a an amateur designer and a professional designer. Any professional designer knows very well that he needs to keep a straight line when you're designing. If you're aligning your things to the left, make sure it is in a straight. In fact, you can see your design tools, Canva, Pixel Lab, Photoshop, Illustrator does it so well that they give you a grid line. All these applications give you grid lines because they are very intentional about alignment. They don't want you to stick it out this way and then start this one from here, start this other one from here, start it from here, just because you're trying to align. They want you to maintain that straight line. So in as much as you're thinking of it if you're thinking of alignment in these three ways that you could say left align, center align, and right align, think of it also as being your alignment should be in a straight line. Let me show you how that is done. All of the designs we'll be seeing here, you see how the alignment is used in a straight line. Let's just put that back here. Let's put this here again. All right, so we can see from this, let me zoom it in a little bit. So we can see from this design here. Oh no, just give me a second, please. Let me take this out. All right. You can see from this design here, this is straight line. Let me take that out. But then you can see the straight line here. This is not the biggest thing on the design, but in as much as it is the alignment. This is two different texts here. This is one and this is another one, but it is still aligned in a straight line. So think of it that way. Think of alignment first as being the left, the center, and the right. And also think of it as being in a straight line. Now, when you're thinking of center alignment can never be in a straight line. Like because of how you see what this is. Some words are not the same. All right. Some words are not actually the same size, they're not the same length, right? So when you're thinking of it, don't stress center alignment to be in the same line. Just leave it however it is. But then you can see from this design that this is all in the center. This one here is aligned to the center of the same distance is here, the same distance is here, the same distance is here, the same distance is here. So it makes this word here aligned to the center of this design. I believe you can see that. Right. And Mr. Joshua talked about you can see how alignment is still playing a good role here. Straight line. You can see the straight line here, right? So think of it in this way. I believe with that you probably should understand what alignment is. Like I said, we're gonna be really fast because we talked about this last week. And if you're watching this video and you have something you don't understand, just let me know. Just bring your question to the group or bring it to my DM. I'll definitely answer that. All right, so we're going to move to the next one. I'll just hide this back. All right, let me just bring more samples of where alignment played roles. You can see alignment here. You can see alignment here on this design here. You can see alignment here. This is left aligned. We talked about this in the last class. This is left aligned, but you can see it's still being in a straight line. All right, you can see the alignment still being in a straight line. So think about it that way. Even he has slanted it a little bit more to match the whole concept of the design, but then the alignment is still in a straight line. All right, think about it that way again. Let me just put it out. Other designs, you can see other designs still playing the same role. Alignment still playing the same role in a straight. Let me just take it easy. You see, still playing it in a straight line. Okay, so let's move forward. We're going to talk about the next thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this already. We spent already a lot of time trying to set this up. The next thing we're going to have is balance. I'm going to skip this because I'll show you what balance looks in real time. So just for a second. When you think of balance as a visual balance of a design. Think of balance as being a visual balance of a design. Now, I'm going to explain this very well to you. And balance is not actually a principle that you can obey, like you see contrast, you see alignment. Balance is a mental function. When you are done with your design, let's think about it this way. This is like let's put yourself in the shoes of this designer and think about it like, oh, I'm the designer of this. I made this design and probably I made this whole magnifying glass big from here to here, like this now. You made it big like this. And there's no space here. There's no space here. The only space you have is this small place for this text. Now, thinking of balance as a principle of design, you know that you did not give this design enough room to breathe. Now we're going to look at white space, but then I'm bringing this as an instance. When you're looking at balance, like I said, balance is not actually a kind of principle that you can apply. It is just something you know as a designer that, oh, this design is not balanced. Let me just look at this design here, guys. This design we have here. This was made by Caesar Graphics. But then look at this design we have here. You already see how beautiful it is. It is a simple design. There's no trees, there's no skyscrapers flying around, but the design is beautiful. It still passes the information the way it's supposed to pass it. All right, which means the design is balanced. So the designer decided to use the text in a slant way. All right, the enlargement to be like this. It is not nice. Now, how you know that the design is not balanced is if you now carry this whole information here, and because we talked about alignment, you now place it like this. Uh, it's still beautiful. You still obey the principle of design, but it's not balanced. Okay, so when you're thinking of balance, think of balance in that way. Now you're going to get to understand balance very well when you start designing. I'm not going to bore you with the whole story of balance right now, but then other principles, other principles of design are what help you make balance make sense. So whilst we're talking about balance, I said we're not going to do much on that. Whilst we're talking about balance, you think about balance when you finish obeying alignment, when you finish obeying emphasis. Look at this design here now. When you finish obeying hierarchy, which is the next thing we're going to talk about. All right, I'm just going to put that out again. Please, guys, let me know if you can hear me clearly. I want to be sure. Anybody?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Like, is Joy here? Joy, are you listening?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Joy. All right. So we're going to move to the next thing. Cosmos, I see you here too. Um, the next thing we have is hierarchy. And this is very beautiful. I want you to take note of this design principle, this particular design principle. Every designer needs this hierarchy. And in our last class, I explained hierarchy to be, before we start looking at hierarchy, I want you to see yourself as a creator. Remember, in this academy, we are not just becoming graphics designers. In fact, in our third week, in our third session, I'm going to show you what AI can do, so that you know that if you put yourself to be just a graphic designer, you are competing with AI and you can't win because AI will do it faster than you can. So I'm putting it to you that you're not just becoming a graphic designer here in this academy. You are becoming a creator. Who then is a creator? Your ability to convert words, ideas, imaginations into visuals. Your ability to use these principles that we are talking about, these principles that we are seeing here, to convert the things you are thinking about, the thing your client is thinking about, into presentable visuals. Right. So I think I made that clear. So when you're thinking about hierarchy, think about hierarchy as you are a creator. You are creating the flow with which you want your design to take. I'm just going to explain that when I pull up some designs here now. So um again, let's use this for our first example. Anybody just unmute your mic and then tell me what you see first, and then what you see second, and what you see third. Let's explain what hierarchy means by that. Anybody?
First I see the hand holding the can, the drink,
Okay,
and then
that's one.
new board is a handful.
Okay, that's two.
Text, and then last the Budweiser logo.
The logo, that's three. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnson. So think about it this way. You are the designer of this beautiful marketing flyer. And all you want to pass, all the information you want to pass is these three things. These three things you're seeing. And the way you want to pass the information, you are directing the view. Now, the designer is intentionally leaving these things in these sizes because he wants you to see this first. He wants you to see this second. And he wants you to now look at this logo as the third thing you're looking at. So it is impossible for you to come on this design and look at this first. It is impossible because already the first principle we talked about, emphasis, this is the emphasis on this design. But then the designer is creating a flow, like subconsciously creating a flow in your mind. That's why I say think of yourself as a creator. The design should create. You are giving birth to designs. You are telling the designs how to make people think. So automatically, it is impossible for you to think about, for you to see this, even if it is here. It is impossible for you to see this first because the designer didn't want you to see it first. Right? The designer wants you to see this whole hand here. That is hierarchy, connecting the flow in your design. All right. So I'm going to pull out another example, but then once you're still here, think of it again. when you have a client come to meet you, and like I said, the client will give you the theme of the event and maybe some other sub informations like we saw here. Just give me a second. Let me put that out here. Some other sub informations like we saw here. Oh, that's my sister actually. Sorry about that. The other sub informations like we saw here. Um, so I'm asking, sorry about that, guys. I'm having messages coming from my WhatsApp, and I don't want that to distract our class. So I'm saying, looking at this and with what I've told you about hierarchy, can you guys just show me? I think someone's mic is unmuted. That person should speak now. Can you show me what hierarchy is? Salome, are you on the call?
I think the hierarchy is the phone.
Okay. All right. So let's go. Keep whoever speaking. Keep going. Let me keep going. So we'll just you said the phone is first. Okay.
Then the expert class,
Okay. That's two.
and then you don't need luck, you need strategy.
Okay. That's three.
And then the down part on the
Okay.
left
That's four.
side.
All right. And this and this. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So once you're thinking of hierarchy again, think like this designer here. See it like this. You are the designer for this particular flyer. What you want people to see first, like Joy said, is this font here. Why are you actually now? You see, like I said, you are the creator of your designer. You are giving birth to your design. So you have to be very intentional about what you are creating. Now, there's nowhere else on this screen where you will find this information now at 20% off, a limited time offer. So the designer is telling you that I'm not just placing a phone on this stuff here. I want you to see this first. All right. So I'm not just placing a phone here. I'm showing you how you should flow. Now we have when we made this same example with emphasis, Johnson talked about this to be the first one. Now, if you think about it as per text, this is the first thing you will see because it is white. I mean, this is white. This is very shouty compared to how the smartphone is. But this is the biggest thing you are seeing on the screen. So however you want to look at it, when you see expert class, the next thing you probably want to see is this. And then we're also looking at the phone screen. You now realize, oh, it's not just a phone screen. It's not just an empty phone screen. We have now at 20% off a limited time offer. There's still information on this phone screen. Are you guys see what I'm saying? So is allowing you to view these designs in this way. Let me use another color for that. You view this. This is first, and then you can now view this third. Then we are done reading this. If you have much time, you can now come and look at this more. So now when this designer was conversing with the client, you could imagine the designer asking, because you're going to become this creator soon enough. You can imagine the creator asking the client, what is the most important thing you want people to see first? Or just listening to the client speak. The client is saying, oh, it's going to be an expert class, and we're going to have them. You don't need to all of this other information here. This is not now a limited time offer is not the biggest thing the client wants you to see. It can't be the biggest thing. All right. Now at 20% offer is important, but that's not what the client wants you to see first. All right. So I believe you guys are understanding what I mean by hierarchy. So I'm explaining this using these examples, and we've seen this again. We can also see this. We talked about this in the last class. I'm just gonna pull this up again. Let's do that practice again. Anybody? Let's go. Let's do hierarchy. Salome, please. I want you to speak now. Hierarchy on this design. Let's see what comes first, what comes second, what comes third. I think Salome has not spoken since we started.
Okay. Um, what comes first for me is the text, like
Okay, what particular
across the
text?
golden strand. Then
Okay.
the golden strand
The strands itself, yeah?
as the second. Yeah,
Okay. This is okay. Okay. And then you probably have this to be the third.
yes, the last. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Salome. So now you're thinking of it that way again. You see that the designer is intentionally allowing you to see these golden strands first. Now, we dissected this in our last class deeper to see that we don't just have across the beauty these other two words as we see these two words as the very first words we see, and then we can now start seeing across the beauty travels. All right. So think of hierarchy as creating a flow for your viewers on your design. Think of hierarchy as you are the one directing your viewers on what to see first, what to see second, and what to see third. This other information here is just here. I don't know who reads it, but me, I didn't. So I don't know. Maybe unless you can read it. That's what the designer is thinking. This information is important, but it's not that important. So if you find this flyer that interesting, you can now come here and read it. All right. So I'm explaining what hierarchy means. We've already spent a lot of time. Let's move forward. And we talked about white space. A very clear example where we can apply this white space is this design. Now, when we talk about white space, I don't want you to think of white space as being a white color in a design. This design here shows a clear example of what white space is about. Very simple but beautiful design. A hand, this is alcoholic hand, maybe like the drink now, holding the bottle. And every other thing on this design, there's no other text, there's no other information passed in this other part. So some designers now you now see flying mango here, you see apple flying here, you see tomatoes, just to show that you can add element on it. As a designer, you're thinking of now. I want you to remember this phrase when you design. Less is more. I'm going to say this. When I started my first class on design, that was 2020, on that system of Bona. System said when you start designing, don't think of adding things to the design. Think of removing things from the design. And just like this designer here, it is important he would have added maybe the company building at the background here, added some other stuff like many designers would. But that's not the most important thing on this design. He's trying to show you something, and he does not want to bring noises around when he's showing you this stuff here. So we are thinking of white space. Think of your design as giving it room to breathe. Let's say there were other things here on this design. When we talked about emphasis, you won't see this as emphasis anymore. In fact, you are seeing this as the emphasis because there's a lot of space. There's a lot of space. Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. There's a lot of space all around here. That's why you're even seeing this thing like this. Right? So we are thinking of white space. We are looking at the principle called white space. Think of the principle called white space as giving your design room to breathe. All right, think of it that way. Let me bring another example. So we could see how the perfect example here. Look at this design. Very simple, but it passes the information. This is a church flyer. You probably will be seeing Jesus kneeling down here, or you see somebody worshiping God, throwing his hands up in the air. You see those kind of church flyers. Yes, there's room for that. Those kind of flyers have their own, their own styles. They have how they function, but not on a design like this. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when you think of white space, it's not just the color white, it is the room that you give to your design to breathe. I'm going to pull out just two more examples before we pass through this. Now, even with this design that has a lot of information, the designer is not thinking, oh, let me just compact the design with lot of information. You can still see the space here. In fact, this design is beautiful. very beautiful to me. Even if he's putting some things behind, some noisy things, even with this whole flying things around, you can still see that there's room for each. Now, let me cycle that and show you. This word here has room enough to breathe. This word here has room enough to breathe. This one is not fighting for attention where this one is. This phone has room for itself to breathe. All these other flying things is not important, so you probably won't put focus on it. This other ones here has enough room to breathe. So you attract, this is their logo, so you can't even like, you're tracking what I'm saying when I'm saying white space. You are giving each element on your design enough room to breathe. All right, all right. So um, I think with that we understand what. Please, if you have any question on that, if you have any question on that, let me know. We talked about repetition, and I'm just gonna ask this question again because I said repetition will be used mostly in branding. When we start talking about branding, that's when you're going to be using the principle called repetition. And now we're on this call. Anybody just unmute your mic and then answer this. Which color would you represent Coca-Cola as? Your Coke, Coca-Cola. Anybody?
Red and black.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So you are able to represent Coca-Cola with red and black because they have consistently over time repeatedly used red color for their product. You can't think of Coca-Cola as green. All right. So I'm saying that with respect to this particular principle here, that when you're thinking of repetition, think of repetition more as a branding term. Your ability to allow your brand to stick in the minds of its users. What color? Anybody now? What color is Facebook? Very popular.
Blue and white. Because of white.
Basically, Facebook is not yellow. You can't think of Facebook as yellow because they have consistently used the blue color to identify themselves. All right, so think of repetition in that way. All right, we're going to look at that when we start doing branding. And I didn't bring those designs in there, but let's look at movement for a second. My God, let's look at movement. I'm going to show you movement in another style. Hold on, let me bring another design here. Um, all right, two ways. How do you think of movement? Just like we talked about balance. Movement is not actually a particular design principle like alignment, like contrast that you can dwell on. Think of movement to be a flow. Think of movement to be a flow. How your design now, depending on your elements of design. So I'm going to pull the other design I just took out, but then let's look at this first. How can you see movement on this design? Anybody, just unmute yourself and just any way you see any however you understand movement to be, tell me how you see movement on this design.
Maybe by the flow of the dress and the green part at the bottom. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tami. That's Tami. Thank you very much. So 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 now that's I mean you're now thinking like the designer here because now there's nothing much to add movement to here on this design, but the designer is thinking, oh, we have my text. I have my text here already. Let me create movement. Since we have the woman like this is basically where the woman's dress stopped. But the designer now added another element here just to continue a flow. So think of movement in that way. Now I said it again, it depends on the elements you use on your design. There's some designs you probably just have, let's say like a webinar kind of, you just have the picture of the person, the text and all of that. There's still movement, but it's not in this kind. All right, it's not in this kind. So when you're thinking of movement, it's not like a principle. If you avoid movement or if you omit movement in your design won't look good. Movement now, these other design principles help your design to look creative. So this is just the designer adding another principle of design just to make the design look more beautiful. If the woman was just wearing a cloth, I mean, if the cloth was just like this, the design would still look cool. But then because he thought about it again to add movement as being a principle of design, he now added this stuff here. All right. So I believe you all understand that. Let me see if we can have something else. And like I said in the last class, when we are in the test session, we will be implementing a lot of designs. I'll be showing you more about AI and how to incorporate AI into your designs. So you don't need to struggle to find a particular kind of image online. All you need to do is imagine the kind of image you want. Remember, I said you are a creator. Your ability to imagine these things, and that's why you are in this academy. All the resources are available for you to create. Now we are understanding the principles of design. You understand the rules. Remember, I said think about principles as rules, the rules that will guide you what you're creating. And then we are going to explore AI as the ultimate tool for creating of images, creating of elements that we can use for our design. Let's see how movement is used here. Let's see how movement is used here. This is I think the same brand for the golden strands we saw earlier. This designer is thinking this way. Now, this is the emphasis. This is more like a subtext for this design, but he's also creating movement. Let me show you that. So you are if you see this first and then see this second, because that's definitely what you're going to see. The flow of this hair is bringing you back to this text. So untangle your story. Yes, I get. Um, um, you now see the image with tangled hairs, and I'm going to explain how to use images in your design. Remember we talked about that. But then he's also making you come back to see this text here. So here in this text, you can probably read the story and all of that here. But then that's the essence of the image. Now he would have used image at the head to just fall off like this. He probably would have used the head to just fall off like this, right? But he wants you to see the flow. This is movement. So think of movement, like I said, it's just you applying creativity to the design. All right. We're gonna move from that. Yeah, now, this is the last thing we're gonna talk about as a principle of design. We're gonna jump into we're gonna jump into colors and typography soon enough. I just had to bring it in here so that we can refresh our minds. And for those who didn't watch the last session, can use this particular video that is being recorded now to boost their understanding. All right. Let me just be sure. Yes. All right. So the last thing we're going to be talking about here is contrast. I left it for the last because I want to just see how we can rush it up. I like to use this for contrast first. All right. So I talked about this in the last class. Contrast could be used in shapes. You can do so. Anybody just unmute your mic and share what you saw from the videos you watched. What contrast is? Anybody, please. The definition of contrast now. Anybody?
First, is what um an element is different from another or somehow looks abstract, an element of another.
Okay. Okay. I think I get what Mr. Joseph was trying to say there. Any other person, please, before we just jump into it. All right.
Contrast is how different some
Yeah.
elements of the design are from others,
Yeah.
or a particular
Yeah.
element of the design is from others.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnson. So think of contrast.
Contrast creates
Yeah. So go ahead, please.
creates clarity and helps in communication and navigation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow, that's 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 something I think you want to write down. It creates clarity. All right. Let's look at what contrast is in real life. So I said earlier, you can have contrast in shapes, you can have contrast in colors, you can have contrast. Oh, sorry about that, guys. You can have contrast in text, and I'm going to show you what that means. I used this as example the last class we had. The same shape, but then let me just copy that, and I'm just going to change the color a little bit. All right, guys. So when you think of contrast in shapes, think of it like you have three things here, but you want this to stand out. So when you look, if you have this space alone, being your design, applying contrast to it means you've made this to be circle because you want this to stand out. That's contrast for shapes. So you can actually use a triangle here. You can use a star here. Once you are distorting a particular pattern, you are creating contrast on it. It feels like we are doing emphasis. It feels that way as well. But then we're actually playing with contrast on shapes. All right. The next thing you want to look at is contrast with colors. This is the same size, the same square, but if you look at it this way, it feels like this is lighter because there's contrast to this now. I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like in real life. Just give me a second. Let's look at our first example. I'll bring this in again. Contrast with color. First, you can see this shade here, a lighter shade of green. Now let me show you what that means if we didn't have before we even go into that, if we didn't have that to be our, this is white. Let's say that's the shape, and that's good. That's good. So let me just change this to this color. Can you guys see this now? Can you guys see the text? Anybody just unmute and tell me. Anybody there?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Yeah, it's very faint. Yeah, that's it there. It's very faint. I want you to understand contrast in that way so that you can appreciate what this designer is doing here. All right. So the designer is intentionally putting out this background to be this lighter shade of green, and then intentionally making this whole text to be bold because he wants contrast to show here. And that's why I gave from the last class, we now made videos on color theories. I believe you all watched that. And we're going to understand color theories in a minute. But then contrast in color, that's what the guy used here. All right. So let's say this guy used let's say this color of green. Give me a second. This color of green as the background. And he now plays the same text on this background. It will not be visible. All right. So he played around with contrast in that place there. So think of contrast in that way. I'm going to pull out something else. This design that we love so much. This design here. Yes, it is all red. Yes, it is. But then you can see contrast playing a good role. All right. I mean, you can literally just see contrast. Now, this is not all yellow, but then he has created contrast even by making this other shade to be darker. This is a red color, but then this red is not really bad. Like the contrast here is not that bad that you can't see that this is a bottle, which means he played with the contrast behind very well. All right. Let me pull something else so you can see how contrast is being used. We've not looked at other designs. Let's see this. Very simple design, also for forex portal. So, like again, remember I said this. Just when you think of yourself as a creator. Think of yourself as a creative director. You are directing, even if it's just one flyer, but you are directing everything on the flyer. And now I've said this. You have no limitations in your creating abilities. Your only limitation is your imagination. I mean, in the age we are, maybe in 2022, you wouldn't say this, but your only limitation now is your imagination. Because whatever you think about, you can actually create using AI. So I just say that to pull you back into the design. This designer is very creative. I mean, I follow Joe Montas, he's the creator of this whole stuff here. And he intentionally made this woman wear this color of shirt. Let me put this back. Wear this color of shirt, wear this color of trousers. Because he wants, and now when he's designing with this image that he took, he wants to use a lighter shade of blue, contrasting with the color of shirt they're wearing, contrasting with this text. I mean, you can see what he's thinking like. He's thinking in contrast here. And I believe you guys watched the video there. These are complementing colors in the same palette, in the same palette, but then you can see the contrast is high. All right. So when you're thinking of contrast, think of it as creating difference. So if you have a black background, you probably won't want to use a brown. Let me show you what that means. Let me not just describe that for you. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's say this is your black background. You are making a design and you're working with a black background. Let's say you want to write hello. This is it. I mean, let me show you what you mean. You want to make, and you're using brown. That's even visible enough. You're using brown on this. This is not cool. This is not contrast. So if I mean this is just a weird example, but then think about it again as a designer. Whenever you come across gigs, opportunities for you to design, think about it like that. Think about it in contrast. All right. I believe you guys understand what contrast is. If you don't understand what contrast is, please just ask a question. Contrast here, contrast here also is your text. In as much as we saw this to be when we made the example for emphasis, we saw this when we made the example for hierarchy. We saw this same thing here. But then you can see the person here is you can't read. Wait, okay, now when the word golden strands calls you into this design, because this is the first thing you probably want to see, you now understand that golden strand is not just standing alone. The designer intentionally created contrast. He made this word to be smaller. He made this word to be smaller so that this golden strand does not make full meaning without you reading this other words here. So you need to go back and look at what the full word is across the golden strands. Beauty travels. He's playing around with contrast in size. Remember, we talked about it. Joy said creating clarity. Mr. Johnson said you are making difference. It is the same text, yeah, but this is bigger than this. So contrast is being created in size. You're just creating difference. All right. So um I'm just making you think about that. Think about contrast in that way. So I think that's all for principles of designs. This will benefit those who didn't join the other class. If you have any questions whilst you're watching this video, just do well to ask and maybe drop your questions in the group. What we'll be looking at today is typography and we'll be looking at colors as well. So let's dive deep into what we have for today. So anybody who watched the video we had for the session here, just let me know what you saw. Anybody?
I watched few of the videos, but I'm not done watching them.
Okay. Tell us which one was that? Typography or colors?
Typography.
All right. So thank you, Yoshi. So before we even go deep down, tell me what you saw, what typography is.
They talked about the ultimate guide to typography, the typeface, and the fonts. The typeface describes the characters that share common features, while the font is a particular style, weight, and size within a typeface.
Okay. That's nice. That's nice. That's beautiful, John. Thank you. So we have, and I'm going to send the document as to those terminologies and how you are going to use them. I'm going to send the document on that to the group. But then just to make you understand, this is typography we'll be looking at and the kind of typeface that they are that you can play with. So I have a couple fonts here. I'm just going to change them to the particular font and let's see how we can use that. Okay, so let's just use this for the first. Right. So that's one. I'm gonna put this in. Just give me a second. All right. That's two. Put this. I'm going to I'm going to go on my Google Chrome to explain this more to you just in a minute because I want you guys to see how it is in real time. Um, but then before we go, let's just see what we can find here. All right, don't stress. Can you guys see my screen, please? I'm on my Google Chrome now. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so um, I know that's quite tiny, but let's look at what we have. All right, so I want us to be here. This is very. So I believe you can see my screen still. We're going to go back to Pixel Lab soon, but I want you to see what kinds of typefaces we have. So primarily we have serif typeface and sans serif typeface. Please remember that when you watch the videos again that I sent to the group, you get more understanding on this. But I want you to understand this more. Serif typeface and sans serif typeface. These are the primary kinds of typefaces we have. And they don't play the same role in your design. So when you think of this as a designer, understand that they don't play the same role. Serif typefaces passes a different kinds of information, and sans serif typeface pass a different kind of information. Let's look at what serif typeface looks like. All right, so let me put that back here a little bit. Serif typefaces are those ones. If you use Microsoft Word, you see those Times New Romans, those what you call olden days kinds of typefaces. This is a serif typeface. Let me put that back. I mean, we're just gonna talk with this for you to understand more. This has serif typefaces. All of this here you see. The kind like this is how it looks like. It looks it is used more for luxury. You could see Louis Vuitton, you could see I think Zara now. All of those kinds of typefaces, those are what you call serif typefaces. So if you are creating designs for let's say a church that's trying to do something medieval, something like that, you use serif typefaces because it communicates something ancient. So I'm trying to show you how to use these typefaces, where you're going to use it. Remember, I said that using a particular kind of typeface passes a particular kind of information. So if you are creating a fintech brand, you can't use this kind of typeface here. I mean, it's giving you olden days vibe. If you look at this now, I mean, when you look at the videos I said, you get other detailed understanding of what the typefaces are. But just to wrap it up from the videos we watch, this is what serif typefaces are used for. Now, when you think of it again, think of the next one to be your sans serif typeface. Sans serif typeface is, as you can see, it looks more modern, it looks more clean. So think of it like a design that is a typeface that is used for modern things, modern designs. Let's go back on this. I want you guys to see what sans serif typefaces look like here. All right, so you can see it is a clean kind of. I mean, you can see the letters are spelled out properly. All right, let me just move on to the next page. So you can see them very clean. You can use these ones for this kind of typefaces. You can be used for your maybe graphic design, just like we have the examples here. Let me put that in. Just like we have the examples here. This guy is trying to he's not trying to communicate some ancient stuff, which is with his design. So it's not using any serif font here. It's using sans serif font, and there are many. Like you see on this platform, there are a lot of them. This is one of the tasks we'll be doing when we start designing. But then let's focus on this for now. Understanding where and when to use a sans serif font. So you want to ask the question? Who's that? Thomas' mic is unmuted. You want to ask the question? All right. I want to be sure if you're speaking. So if you have a question whilst I'm speaking, just let me know. So I'm saying that sans serif fonts are modern fonts, that you use sans serif fonts for things when you're trying to communicate information in a very modern way, you know. And I'm saying that you just like we saw what sans serif fonts there are used as. You can't use serif font on this particular design. Imagine you have this expert class written in this kind of text. Let me show you what it looks like. Expert class. Let me show you. Just give me a second, please. That's too big. So imagine having guys, just give me a second, please. Imagine having your expert class spelled out in this kind of font. It's not passing the information you want to pass, because this feels more like a luxury kind of font. Remember, I made examples on Zara. I made examples on Louis Vuitton. That's why that's why I gave those videos on YouTube, because they give broader examples, and you can see how these fonts are used extensively. So even once you're in this class, when you go back and watch the videos on YouTube, you will have better understanding of what these fonts are, and you can appreciate when we start designing more. All right, so I'm just showing you guys this, and then there are other ways, there are other kinds of fonts. I'm going to show it to you guys. Just give me a second. There are other kinds of fonts I'd like us to see. All right, and we have, yeah, like this is a website we'll be getting fonts from, but we have Gothic. These are fonts that look dramatic more like. So if you're trying to create a flyer that looks maybe some graffiti kind of designs for, you know, for young guys, for teenage, something that is dramatic really, you can use fonts like this. All right. We're going to look at all of this when we start designing, when we start implementing. A lot other fancy fonts. I'm just going to show you this in summary. Yeah. So you see, especially for fonts that you use to make food designs. Let me see if we have that. Let me see if we have a design for that. I bet we don't. I bet I didn't put that here. So when you're thinking of, I didn't put that in here. All of this is just fintech. All right, we're gonna look at that. But then when you're thinking of fonts for, let's say, a food brand, you're trying to make a design for a food brand, or let's say for an ice cream brand, you can't start using this kind of font. Yes, it is modern. Yes, it is, but it's not giving the vibe for a food brand. So you start thinking of fancy fonts like this, like Vanilla here. You start thinking of fonts like this. I'm just showing you the kinds of fonts that you can use for different kinds of things. You start looking at handwritten fonts that are more style, that are soft, you know. You see what I'm saying here? Fonts like this, depending on what you are trying to do. All right. So when you think of, typography makes the whole difference. Look at this design. Look at this design we had here. Imagine we had a food that kind of vanilla font here on this golden strands. It won't pass that kind of information you're trying to pass. So understanding a particular font to use for a particular design makes differentiates you from a small designer, from an amateur designer with a pro designer. So that's why I said understanding that video I shared on the group is going to help you more as you start designing. All right. All right. So I just want you guys to see that. I want us to I want us to look at colors. I want us to look at colors. So Joy, did you see anybody else? Did you guys watch the videos on colors? Anybody?
Yeah, I watched both typography and color.
All right. Thank you very much, Dami. Dami, then you have a better understanding of what we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So
basically highlighted some things for me. Like for me, I'm very I like using like the serif type of fonts, but now that I understand the meaning behind them, it makes it easier to understand why some fonts are used. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And then once we start implementing them, we'll
Mm,
see you see them from more examples, you see how it is used more. Yeah,
okay.
thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you. So yeah, so that's nice. So guys, please go back and watch those videos again. I mean, I'm gonna say this myself, I still watch those videos because because I want to get these things. Whilst you're designing, you want to understand the audience first, the kind of information you're passing. So like we made the example, I made a design for you're designing for a church event, like I said, and you just can't start using some sans serif font like this. Let me show you like this now. Like this now. This is more like a business kind of flyer right now, right? So you can't just start using some sans serif font here. Sorry, now some serif font here. Just like you can use sans serif font on your church flyer. Let me show you that. Let me show you that in a minute. We have another kind of font here. I brought it in here. Slab font are fonts that have stuff like this. That have this stuff. Any font, this is are called slab fonts. When you watch the video on YouTube, you have better understanding of all of this stuff here. And then what we'll be doing mostly in our class would be how to use this font, where to use this font, when to not use this particular font. So yeah, think about it that way again. So please guys, go back and watch the videos on on YouTube. The links are in the group, right? So I want to talk a little bit about colors. And again, it is very important that we watch the videos on the group because it gives you a deeper knowledge. When you come to the class, you're coming to the class prepared. You're coming to the class prepared to share more. All right. So think about colors in this way. If you had watched the videos, you probably see complement. I mean, I can't go deep into all of those details here. What we'll be doing mostly is to this is a color wheel basically. So you have a color on this ends. Opposite of it is complementary colors. Like I said, I won't go into all of those details. Those details are already on the videos. So you go back and watch them, and then when you watch those videos, you will understand more about color theory. When you come back, what we'll be doing when you come back in our next class, what we'll be doing mostly is how to apply those color theories in design. Look at this. Look at this for a second. Now, if you're thinking like this designer now, just give me sorry about that. If you're thinking of if you're thinking of this designer like this is a blue color. Let me use the white stuff there. This is a blue color, and this is more like a yellowish color, golden kind of. These two colors complement each other. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you how if I can put that out. I'm just gonna pick the color here, right? And let me just share this out to show you what I mean. And I'm gonna pick the color on the other end to share this out. So we are thinking of contrast again. Anybody just unmute yourself. Does this yellow against the blue background, does it create a good contrast? Yes or no? Anybody? Anybody there, please?
Think Joy.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. That's Salome, yeah?
No, Joy.
Oh yeah, that's John. Thank you. Sorry about that. So understanding colors helps you to think in first the direction of your audience. Who is viewing this design? Is it going to be for younger people? Is it going to be for older people? It helps you understand the function, the purpose of the design. Is it a luxury brand? I didn't bring a lot of those designs in here now. Is it a luxury brand? Now you can't start using, I know pink is a girlish color, but then you can't start using pink for a luxury brand like let's say like Louis Vuitton. I'm just gonna pull something in for you guys. Permit me, I'm gonna go to my Instagram. I want to show you guys how colors. Oh bro, look at this. Look at these guys now already, man. These guys have so this is what color looks like. So already seeing this, you can start thinking of this to be a luxury brand because of the kinds of colors you are seeing. You can see a deeper shade of blue and a golden color. All right, let's see how it apply. You see what you see what I'm saying? The colors here. Let's keep going. It is communicating to you a luxury feeling. So understanding color theory. Now, believe me, color is a very wide subject. We can't even cover it in one live session like this. I'm thankful to God. In 2020, during the lockdown, one of my mentors advised me to learn colors. Like he advised me to. I was like, learn colors. Why? But then I'm glad I took the color theory course in 2020. I still learn it till now because if you think of like I just made the example earlier. Think of Coca-Cola, how they played with the color red and how red has so much influence in your mind. Now we are looking at colors. So we are looking at colors. Believe me. So I'm just showing you what these colors can do to a brand, how and when to be able to use this kind of colors. All right, and let me point some other example. Well, whilst we're on Instagram, this is Drew Montage. Let's go on this page. Let's see what Drew Montage does with colors. So you see, so you see, he has a yellow in front of a blue background. Yes, it is the sky, but he intentionally made this sky, this top part, deeper because he's trying to play around with colors. Now, you looking at this design alone, what you see first is pre-class. Not because it's the biggest thing, but because the color is calling you into it. All right, I'm still showing you guys what colors look like. Look at this. It is the same blue, but his ability to make it look like how do you call this now? It has a neon effect, but also looks like tech. So he can't use pink in this place here. That's not what he's trying to communicate. He can't use green on the text here. That's not what he's trying to communicate. So you are thinking as a designer, you are thinking, imagining the kind of color that passes the kind of information you want to pass. So I'm going to use church flyer again because I don't know why. Maybe that's why I started designing with. Your church is coming up with an old school event. Those old school Sunday stuff you guys have, and you are thinking of it, and you are thinking green. You're now thinking purple. It doesn't communicate the vibe of the event. All right. So I'm just showing you what colors feels like. All right. Yeah. So just look at all of this. I mean, this is particularly for other designs. If you can just come to his page and just feed your eyes on this guy's page, he does a great job. Believe me, one of the people I love and I follow so much. All right. So see how color plays a role here again. He's playing with. I mean, this is a beautiful design, but then see how color is playing a role in this design. I'm not going to go deeper than that. Let's just go back to our design. His page is too. I mean, we'll say the order. All right. So, guys, I want you. I mean, this will be the end of the class. We've already spent a lot of time, but please go back and watch those videos. You see how important it is to get yourself acquainted with these informations. They will help you in not just when we come on live sessions like this, but they will help you in your designs. I think I forgot to say something earlier. said it. I'm a self-taught designer. The only class I've attended as a graphic designer was a free class in 2020. That was the very first class I attended as a designer. The remaining classes I've had, even the branding sessions, I learned from YouTube. I learned from people's videos online, from Instagram. I'm a self-taught designer. That's why I brought this method into this academy. You can learn a lot from YouTube. In fact, what we'll be doing in the class is majorly practical. We'll be looking at how to implement the things you learn on YouTube in real life designs. So please go back again and watch this video. I mean, I'm putting it out there again. Watch the videos on YouTube. Whatever link I share on the group, watch the videos very well. If you have other suggestions, watch them. You're not watching it because you're in the class. You're not watching it because you're in the academy. You are watching it because you want to become a better creator. You want to become a better designer. All right, guys. So I think I'll just stop sharing my screen now. Let me go back to Telegram. Thank you very much, guys. Let me stop sharing my screen. Thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of the class. I believe this was all recorded. But then, if you have a question, please drop the question on the WhatsApp group so that others can benefit from it. Drop the questions you have. If you have suggestions, if you have things you've learned today, you want to drop it as needed. I saw Mr. Joshua do that. You can drop that on the WhatsApp group. Guys, thank you very much. Any questions before we go off?
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, Dami. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining today. And I wish you guys the best. All right. Good night, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Good night.
Goodbye, Dami.
Bye.
Good night, yeah.